Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm gonna tell you guys how to fix your passing like this. Okay, so first of all, we're gonna break this video up into 3 different categories because there are multiple ways to pass in volleyball. There's serve, receive, defense, and honestly like free ball passing if you want to include that, but we're not gonna include that. And then there's just like general tips for passing. So let's start with serve, receive. So first, when you're serve receiving, you need to focus on having a strong platform. So if you're serve receiving the ball like this, you do not have a chance in the world. Promise you, because if the ball's coming at you with pace, like it's floating, like ooh, that's what a float serve does. If your platform isn't firm, it's just gonna shank off of you. Like you have to be like almost like a backboard, if you will, like to make it like a basketball reference. You have to be like a backboard when you're passing the ball. So this is a strong backboard and it will go to target. Now, if you're like this, there's a lot less room for the ball to land correctly, and you're not giving yourself a lot of chances to be successful. Next, you want to focus on your legs. Your legs matter. Move them. Please move your feet. Move your feet. Move your feet. That is so important when you're passing, because imagine, like the ball's over here, right? And my legs are still right here, so I have to reach out for it. That's not gonna go well because once again, the ball has pace and it is moving. So if I have less like space for the ball to rebound off of and I'm just reaching out my platform, that gives me less of a chance for the ball to go where I want it to go. So that means that you need to move your feet to the ball and then pass. And the same goes for like a short ball, a deep ball, to your left, to your right. You gotta move your feet there first and then pass. So what I like to say when I'm coaching is feet first, then pass. So if I see someone shank the ball, I'm like feet first, because usually when I'm looking at them and after they shank the ball, I look at their body position and I look at their platform and I see them reaching like this. They're in some kind of awkward angle, awkward stance. That's how I can easily tell why they shanked the ball, and I can easily tell them like a little correction really quickly. So for your arm position, you want to have your arms hanging and open. You don't necessarily want them like kind of like up. Like your shoulder is going to be down when you're serve receiving, you know, in your athletic stance, but you don't necessarily want your arms to be like super bent, like you're about to play defense, but you want your arms either to be hanging straight down, or you can have them out and ready to boop pass like that. Or some people, honestly, upon contact, they'll already have their platform formed. I wouldn't do that just because I'm not comfortable with that, but some people do that, which is fine. Next, this kind of goes into moving your feet, but you want to get behind the ball. So you don't want the ball to overrun you, because the higher the ball hits you, the worse the pass is going to come off. So if the ball is going to hit you super, super high like this, where is the ball going to go? It's going to go either behind you or straight up, which we don't want. We want the ball to get to our target. So that means that if we're behind the ball, we have more room to kind of cave in ourselves. The shoulders are down and you have more room to see the ball come into your platform, so it's just a lot easier when you're behind the ball. Next, you want to try to take the ball in your center line. So this is just how like you can kind of get the best results when you're serve receiving. So you can, you know, if you're more advanced, you can pass outside of your body when you're serve receiving, that's fine. But if you're more like on like the beginner side, maybe intermediate side, you want to try to keep the ball in your center line as much as possible. So say the ball's coming, and I want to pass the ball in my center line, I'm going to make sure my feet are square to the ball and the ball is landing in the middle of my chest. So that means that my platform is right here in the middle and it's going to hit me right in the middle of my body. So if I'm not passing on the center line, that means I would take the ball to my right, outside of my body like this, but I don't necessarily love doing that, and I feel like you have more control. Like the more body you have behind the ball, the better. Next tip is to not let the ball beat you. Like don't let the ball beat you. Like if you see the ball immediately upon contact, you should be tracking that ball. Okay, where is it going? Is it going to my left? Is it going to my right? Like you should be thinking about that as soon as they contact the ball, not when the ball is crossing the net, because that does not give you enough time to even think, oh shoot, now I gotta move up to my right, or it's a little short, I gotta run up to the ball. Like you need to be tracking the ball as soon as they contact it, because I am guilty of this. Okay, like I'm guilty of like, okay, she contacted the ball and I wait to move and then the ball is already crossing the net, then I'm like, oh crap, I gotta make some kind of like emergency move to go past the ball. So it's really important just to kind of like keep your eye on the ball and track it. My next tip is to not move your platform a lot or your body when you're serve receiving. So that means that if the ball's coming, you don't want to be like boop, because that will cause you to shake the ball quickly too. So when you're passing, you see the ball coming, it's coming, you want to stick it and hold. And you don't want to move, because the ball has its own pace, it has its own speed, and you don't want to add more to it because you're at risk of shanking it, overpassing the ball, or just losing control of it completely. So meaning that you want to just hold your platform nice and strong and don't move too much, and that includes your base, that includes your feet, and your platform. Bend your knees, please. You do not want to serve receive with your legs locked out, because once again, that kind of ties into moving your feet. You don't want to be like stuck and be like, oh crap, I can't move because your legs are locked out. And then like the split second that you have to take to bend your knees, you're already beat by the ball. You know what I mean? So you want to stay ready and keep your knees bent. Reps are important, okay? Serve receive reps are really important to get, because serve receive is very, how do I say this? Like, it's a skill that needs to be practiced constantly. So like when I was a coach and I had my practice plan, we would pretty much serve receive like every day, because it's so important, because if you can't pass, you can't score. So that's why coaches are really hard on serve and serve receive, because that is literally like the cornerstones of volleyball. Like, you cannot play volleyball without your serve or your serve receive. So it's really important to practice those things constantly. And lastly, about serve receive, it is so mental that like it can almost make you pass worse if you're thinking about it. You know what I mean? So for example, like if I was a coach and I saw a girl on the other side of the net who I saw struggle in serve receive, like maybe during warm-ups, or she's like their outside hitter, I'm serving her every single time. You know why? Because I'm more likely to score that way, and two, it's gonna mentally like, you know, wear her down over the game. That's like just a strategy that coaches use. When I was playing and I was an outside hitter, coaches would serve me because they would obviously deduce that I was the weakest passer out of the two other girls that are in the back row with me, because I'm the one who's the outside hitter. So it's not necessarily my primary skill to serve receive. And then the other two girls are probably like maybe liberos and DSs, so they don't want to serve them because they're probably going to get a good pass. So strategy wise, it's more likely that they're going to serve the weakest passer. So that being said, it is so mental. Like for example, when I went to go play beach volleyball, like, I don't know, a couple weeks ago, I was serve receiving so well, because guess what? I wasn't thinking about it. I was like, yeah, I got this, whatever. It doesn't matter. But when I was playing college, ooh, girl, I was like, oh my God, if I shake this ball, like, I'm going to get subbed out. Like, da-da-da. Like, it was stressful, right? So it's really important to try to get on top of your mental game, especially when it comes to serve receive. Next, let's talk about defense, my favorite. So I know y'all see people play defense all the time. I feel like it's almost like the most like highlighted part of volleyball besides hitting is definitely defense, because people love a good scrappy play, a diving, pancakes, running down, crazy balls that are in the stand, something like that. So I love defense. The first tip to being a good defender and not shanking the ball is being stopped on defense. That is so important, because the ball is coming with a lot of pace, okay? When people hit, it's like bam, you know, and they're cracking the ball or hitting it as hard as they can. So if you're still moving, that you're like a moving target. Like, it's gonna be really hard for you to defend the ball if you're moving and it's like, oh, you're moving to your right and then bam, it hits your left. You're like, oh no. So you have to make some crazy emergency move, right? But if you're stopped, you can make more of a sound decision and more of a sound reaction to the ball. Also, when it hits you, you're not going to be likely to shank the ball if you're stopped, because you can just be like, boop, and you're going to be firm and nice and solid, right? You're not going to be like this when you're moving, because if you're moving, your platform's moving, and that means that you're moving towards the ball and you're going to shank it, most likely. Also, that's kind of a safety thing, like being stopped, because if you're moving, like, I fear that you might get hit in the head. I'm not kidding. And that leads me to another tip that I have, is to be ready to protect your face, okay, when you're defending, because some girls go over the block, they go around it, they don't hit into the block, so they're gonna hit at you, the defender, right? So that means that you need to be ready to be able to defend your face, because at certain levels, like, you will get hit in the head, or you will almost get hit in the head if you can defend it, okay? And that leads me to my next tip, which is to have your hands ready and kind of up in your chest area, ready to go and defend. So if I'm bent down, I'm ready to defend, my arms are going to be like about right here, okay, or maybe a little bit lower, but they're not going to be like down by my sides like I would in serve receive, but they're not going to be up here like I'm like ready for the ball to come hit me in the face. Like, it needs to be right in the middle. That way I can either go low and defend, or I can boop, use my hands to defend my face. Next is to be ready to run, because when you're playing defense, you know, the contact isn't always clean from the other hitter. So they can literally go up and be like, ooh, tip, or they can go up and be like, ooh, real shot, or deep tip, or they can swing at you. You know, you don't know what they're gonna do. But that is like, but one way you can remedy that is being able to read your hitter's arm. But that's like a different we're not even gonna talk about that. But you need to be ready to run because, you know, once again, like I said, people have different shots in their arsenal. So if you're super dug in and you're just expecting them to absolutely crank the ball at you and they tip it, they're gonna beat you and they're gonna score. So it's really important to be able to be ready and be on your toes. And next on defense, which this is very important, you wanna be able to hustle and you wanna be able to want to hustle to every ball. Like I was saying earlier, defense is so scrappy. It's exciting because people are hustling, they're grinding, they're running after every ball, they're not letting anything hit the ground, they're sacrificing their bodies, you know? So being able to hustle and being like mentally like locked in to hustle is really important, especially on defense. And especially if you're a setter, that's very important. A DS or a libero or an outside hitter, you need to be locked in on defense, because you're a very key part of most defenses. Okay, let's get into some general tips for passing. Keep your shoulders down, please. Because once again, if your shoulders are up, it's gonna hit you super high and you don't want that. You wanna keep your shoulders low so you have more range and you can see the ball into your platform more. This is like the best tip I could give to any volleyball player that is just starting, they're intermediate, or they're super advanced. Always think the ball is coming to you. Because once you start thinking to yourself, okay, this ball is coming to me, it's coming to me, you're gonna be ready for whatever comes to you, whether it's a tip, a hit, a roll shot, whatever it is, you're gonna be ready because you already told yourself to be ready. I'm telling you, the brain is a powerful thing, and talking to yourself while you're playing is so powerful. And that leads me to my next tip, is to just talk to yourself while you're playing defense, receiving, honestly, even when you're playing the entire game, hitting, setting, whatever it is, because talking to yourself, getting yourself ready for something that's going to happen, anticipating a play is a key part of volleyball. And I know people are like, why did you talk to yourself? That's kind of weird. I know it's kind of weird, but like honestly, like you don't even have to say anything out loud. Like what I would do is like when I'm defending and the play's going on, I'm like, okay, it's coming to me, it's coming to me, it's coming to me. I'm not exactly saying it, but I'm thinking it. And then I'm thinking, I'm like, okay, watch the tip, watch the tip, watch the tip, and that way I am ready for the tip. But if she hits at me, I'm also not going to be like surprised, because I'm always ready to dig the ball, but the tip is what's hard. And that also goes in the service eve. It's almost like, okay, be ready for the short ball, be ready for the short ball, like watch the short ball, you know what I mean? You got to talk about it, because the more you talk about it, the more you'll be ready for it. And that is just the greatest way to be good at service eve or defense. It's just talking to yourself and talking to your teammates as well. That's very important. That is it for today's video, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you like and subscribe, and I'll see you all in my next video. Bye.